Welcome to today's show. Your boy Ismail here. It's been a long time coming. People waiting on the next episode. Also, before the show begins, if you'd like to diversify your income, click on the link below. As the week approached, Bitcoin price appeared to set to close out the month with a remarkably strong performance, which has many bulls calling for a new all-time high above $20,000 in the near future. Traders attribute this lofty estimate to the fact that Bitcoin appeared to have flipped $12,000 to $12,500 to support in bearing some unexpected price explosion. Bitcoin is on a path to painting a beautiful monthly candle. If Bitcoin price is able to push above the pendant trend line, $13,620, and secure a 4th-hour close above it, and then a renewed push for a new 2020 high above $13,853 is possible. From a bird's eye view, Bitcoin current price action is encouraging, and the digital asset is clearly in a strong uptrend with room to run higher. The same cannot be said for the altcoin, which have taken an absolute pummeling throughout this week. At the time of making this video, Ethereum price is down by 5.8% as the top altcoin struggle to reclaim $800 as support. Chainlink has dropped 6.74% and Binance Coin has lost 6.10%. According to Cointelegraph, the overall cryptocurrency market now stands at $396.6 billion and Bitcoin dominates 63.5%. Bitcoin haven't hit $14,000 since 2018. On the next update, crypto trader looking for big return on Bitcoin need new strategy, as well like me move in. Say MicroStrategy Michael Saylor. Let's get into the video.
You can see this on Twitter. MicroStrategy said, we're considering Bitcoin and silver and gold and stocks and bonds. And I love the Bitcoiners. I love crypto Twitter because you know what happened when we put that out there? Every investor in the world ignored it except some Bitcoiner found it and they posted, MicroStrategy is considered Bitcoin. I'm reading, I'm like, whoa, man, talk about confident in their beliefs. It's like MicroStrategy is considering Bitcoin. They pulled that out and they started blasting that. That was news. A week later, we announced we bought 250 million. That was another news. A month later, but then it was like, oh, MicroStrategy's got an investment. Is it, is it a speculation? Then a month later, oh, yeah, we bought a lot more. In fact, by a month later, 90% of our discretionary cash was in Bitcoin. And that's, people are trying to get their heads around that. And then a bit after that, we saw the move by Square, and Jack bought us 50 million, and that was great. And then we saw Stone Ridge, and I think that was great. Where Ross said, it's in our treasury. And then he said, the U.S. dollar is weakening against Bitcoin 70% over the past 2 years. And that causes someone to stop and think, okay, well, legitimate, sophisticated institutional money managers are thinking about the world differently. And the Paul Tudor Jones thing was thinking about the world differently. I think you're going to see over the next 12 months, you're going to see waves of more announcements. Well, for example, we saw PayPal, big announcement. Square is 30 million person mobile bank. PayPal is 300 million user mobile bank. I think as you see tech companies build Bitcoin into their offering, those are catalysts, massive catalysts. As you see you're going to see institutional money managers build Bitcoin into their offering. First it was Fidelity saying you could buy it, but when Fidelity says, well, we've got a Bitcoin fund, you can just wire us $20 million and that'll give you direct exposure to Bitcoin. That's a good thing. And they're talking about it, and I read the press on it, but mutual funds and investment funds, I think that'll be big. I think that when you start to hear institutional investors come out and say, we bought it, right? We bought it. We're going to buy more of it. We bought a lot of it. What happens if Bill Ackman says I bought $1 billion of it?
Right.
By the way, he hasn't. But let's go back to Paul Tudor Jones. Paul said, "Oh, I think I'm putting 1% into it." All the Bitcoiners took a victory lap. This is great. And then he says, "Oh, I put 2% into it." Okay, well that's great. Well, my view is he's still not serious yet.
Right.
I mean, it was nice. It was nice, but it's a little bit patronizing. I mean, to be honest with you, okay, you're an investor, and you're telling me that you kind of understand what I'm doing, and you're going to put 1% of your portfolio into it because it's kind of an interesting hedge. You don't really understand what I'm doing. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of patronizing in a way. If you really understood, and you're an investor, you'd say, "Oh, we made an allocation of X. We put 500 million into it. Okay, we got a $10 billion fund. Well, how important? If you really got it, if you thought, well, all my bonds and equities have fiat underpinnings and they're decaying at 10% a year or more, then you would say, a good hedge would be I put 10, 20, 30, 40% into it. But let's not go there because they do whatever they're going to do. But I'm amused because I think everybody thinks these hedge fund guys know how to make money. If they really knew how to make money, they would put $1 billion into it, and then they would get out on the wire and they would say, "I bought $1 billion worth of it. I'm going to buy more." And and if they were really smart, they would go to the 3 guys they play tennis with in the Hamptons. Because I know these guys. I've been to the tennis tournament. I've seen it. And each one of them would buy 500 million each. And then they would just successively say, "I bought 500 million for my fund. He bought 500 million for his fund. The next week, someone else buys 500 million. By the time 4 of them have bought 500 million, bang, 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 the FOMO kicks in like there is no tomorrow." You remember when Bill Ackman got on television during the crisis and he basically groveled and explained how the world was coming to an end while he was shorting the stock market? He shorted the entire stock market. He said the world was going to come to an end. The market traded down. He covered his bet. He made $2 billion, and then he bragged about it.
That was on like a $50 million bet, too. It was some crazy asymmetrical return. And
yeah, so I mean, my point is these guys do this for a living, right? I mean, this is what they do. If you've got $1 billion and you put all of it in Bitcoin, it's commitment, it's conviction. When you've got $10 billion and you put 500 million into Bitcoin, it's just a day's work. I mean, that was the idea this month. I mean, Ray Dalio's of the world, that's just kind of what you would do just to entertain yourself, or George Soros if they got interested. So I think that the guys that move next, that have the easiest possible decision-making process, the least to lose, the most to gain, are guys that are just running huge amounts of fast money in these hedge funds that are just looking for their next idea.
Totally. There's a couple things here that I thought were really interesting. One is you touch on career risk. Folks jumping in and buying Bitcoin, whether you're a fund manager or a CEO, as more and more of you, like yourself and Jack, legitimize the space, then it reduces that career risk for more people to get in. It's less crazy. And I think, it is a little frustrating, for us mega bulls, because we're both hugely bullish about Bitcoin. We've put a large portion of our net worth into it. It's hard for us to look at these other people who have, and I think you were kind of right.
Fiat is a monetary energy system, and there are different systems. The Argentine peso is a monetary energy system that's bleeding 20% a year. The US dollar was bleeding 50 basis points a month for the past decade, but now it's bleeding 1% to 2% a month. Every system, gold is a monetary energy system. It bleeds 3% a year, and occasionally it crashes, right? And so what I think is we created via crypto technology, via this decentralized crypto network, we created a system which will store, which will take analog energy, and people focus upon the power, but really any analog energy. I take that energy, I encrypt it, I put it into a block of encrypted energy, which we call a Bitcoin, which you generated by a combination of hash rate and then the private keys that we use to protect that block of encrypted energy. I put that onto the blockchain, which is no different than vacuum sealing food. If I'm a food company, I vacuum seal the food to store the food energy. That's the basis of Heinz and Kraft and every food company. And Marjorie Merriweather Post got rich and famous because she figured out how to stabilize food energy at room temperature for years at a time. In fact, she bought, I think it was Birdseye, which is the first frozen food company. When people figured out how to store food energy without spoilage, then she became the richest woman in the world. And so once you understand all of these exercises, John D. Rockefeller was capturing chemical energy, and Post and Kraft were capturing food energy. And what we're doing is capturing monetary energy on a network. Then you realize to convert analog energy or convert energy that is wasting away into an encrypted form that will last forever is an incredible achievement. It's like getting out of the gravity well, right? It's like I got into space. I'm in a vacuum. Now I can rotate